Hello everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Mentalist Mgtow. Today I'm going to be discussing a video that was posted by a YouTube creator that is anonymous, who goes by the name Permission to Exist. Now, I'm going to play Permission to Exist commentary, and then we are going to dissect it piece by piece as we go along. I'm going to make a lot of counterpoints and logistical arguments on the things that Permission to Exist seems to certify as absolute truths about Mgtow. I will go ahead and say up front that the biggest absurdity that I've seen in Permission to Exist analogy of the Mgtow mindset and ideology is that this person is basing their entire opinion about our movement, if you want to call it that, I do, on a case study of one person that they have cherry-picked. Now, that's a problem because you cannot use a singular case study to make a blanket statement about an entire group of people. Prager University's Brad Wilcox tried to do that using Doug Talby in his video Be a Man, Get Married, and anyone who has watched my commentary on that video knows exactly what I think about that. However, as I said, I am here to make commentary on the video and counterpoints. I will let you make your own decisions after that. So with no more ado, I will load up the video and we will get started.
Hey YouTube, hey subscribers, thanks for tuning in. While most of my videos are neutral and intended for everyone, this video is going to be uniquely devoted to women. And the reason is because
that's your primary audience.
I came across a video last night that really troubled me. I feel like it's my duty to warn women that this mentality exists in our society, that it is growing, that it is very dangerous.
Yes, a mentality is dangerous because it doesn't agree with your views. I think not. No, I think that you're actually just parroting the female narrative that you have been taught. I think you're disallowing discussion. You're using shaming tactics, and you're projecting a personal issue dealing with narcissism onto men via using Mgtow as a linkable target. Now, I'm going to acknowledge that there is red pill rage, and some men go through that. Justifiably so for some of the things they've been through. But that is not all men. I personally did not go through this, but again, I'm not everyone, and my case study of an experience doesn't count for that.
And that it will affect your life in some way if you are not prepared, educated, and aware of it.
You know what? I agree. Education and preparation for other views is great. I think everyone should not take mine or Permission to Exist word on this. Research it yourself.
Ladies, there's a pathogen in our society that is affecting some of our males and young boys, and it's doing it in such a way that is causing great damage and destruction to society, to communities, to families, to relationships, to children. It's malignant narcissism.
That's a great way to get understanding from people by saying that their ideas and their mentalities are pathogenic. Which you saying that is actually redundant and a bit of an oxymoron. Malignant means pathogenic by meaning virulent, which you've already said.
In its purest form, but it's malignant narcissism with action. So a few months ago, I did a video called The Misguided Members of Mgtow. And I used an example of a gentleman who decided to end his wife's life because she wanted to end their marriage.
Yes, let's draw unscientifically researched correlations. All serial killers have slept in their life. Therefore, everyone who sleeps must be a serial killer. You do see how that sounds ridiculous when you're trying to create a correlation out of thin air, yes?
Part of the critiques in that particular video was that I was making a leap or a jump or a connection.
You don't say.
between this guy and Mgtow, and any real Mgtow would never have actually gotten married. The point I kept trying to argue back and forth in the comment section was, it doesn't matter whether or not one of you guys are married. What matters is the way you think. You all think the same way.
Yes, just like any in-group, like feminist, or Republicans, or Democrats, or Boy Scouts, or people who have joined the military, or people who are in a knitting circle together. Yes, people who are in in-groups think alike in a lot of areas, but it doesn't mean we walk around like some crazy hive mind that are connected to each other. You're stating things that are silly and have no substance.
But they had a point. I didn't actually just directly go after the principles of Mgtow. I connected a story that's still very highly connectable and highly relevant to the situation, but it didn't quite mesh up. I can take that. Yeah, it didn't mesh up, but this one does. This video clip is a gentleman who basically is going to describe how he views going his own way, what that means for him, and kind of what that looks like.
What you literally just said is, I'm going to use a singular case study from one individual to make a blanket judgment and statement about an entire group of people's mindsets and theories.
And here's the thing, and I said this in my other video, I said it in the comments of that other video, and I'll say it here again. I have no problem with the Mgtow movement. I have no problem with men wanting to go their own way. I think it's great. I think it's healthy. I think it's nice that people aren't sheeple for once. I think a lot of people have experienced hardships in this life because they just went lockstep with what society told them to do. One foot in front of the other, you do this, then you do that, then you do this, then you do that, then you're a successful adult. So I like that people are starting to think differently about the way our society is set up.
Yet you feel so strongly about how wrong it is that you've contradicted yourself all the way up to this point, and you're going to continue contradicting that previous statement you just made now for the entire rest of this video. I don't think those words mean what you think they mean.
Here's where this movement goes wrong, and I said this in my other video. They want to take casualties with them. They want to reach into the normal population and pull out regular people and use them as part of their selfish, entitled little world.
Well, I fundamentally disagree with you quite a bit right now, because most Mgtow don't actually actively recruit any other Mgtow. They may do something like what I do and make content production to allow people to find the information and judge things for themselves, but you really won't find Mgtow actively recruiting. So, unless you're using your case study, which is one person, you have nothing to go off of, which really just means that you actually have nothing to go off of.
So it's not a little world that consists of this man, his hobbies, his interests, his activities, his pursuit of self-development and highest good. That's not what his world consists of. His world consists of some of those things I just listed and the occasional yank of a regular person, woman, into his world for his personal use and abuse until he gets tired of her. Until she starts to act like a real person, until the teddy bear starts talking. Then when the teddy bear starts talking, he wants to dispose of the teddy bear and then talk badly about all teddy bears.
Let's go with this again. All abusers have slept, therefore everyone who sleeps must be an abuser. Also, when random dolls start talking to me, then I think anyone would have a problem.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Bye, Felicia.
Bears for wanting to be more than teddy bears. And those of you who follow my videos will know exactly what I'm talking about. So it's a very dangerous mindset. It's sick. When I play this clip for you, quite a few of you will hear your past relationships in this man talking. And I want to make this very clear also. This goes across all races, all ages, all cultures of men who are suffering from this mindset.
And I'm going to say to you the same thing that I said to Brad Wilcox. You need to practice some cultural relativity. Put yourselves in the shoes of the people who have this mindset. Why do they actually have this mindset? And realize that to them, this mindset is nothing what you say it is. To them, this mindset is freedom. It's not a pathogen. They feel like they're being freed and unshackling themselves. You see it differently. Now, we're allowed to disagree. and that is okay. But when you have a large group of people in mass adopting a mindset and a way of thinking, perhaps rather than allowing your own insecurities dealing with something else to color your views dealing with them based on the interactions between one or maybe two people, you should dig deeper and do some more research on it. That is how we learn how other people think and why they think. So you're not trying to understand why, you're just assigning blame. At least, in my opinion, that seems what you're doing.
And I want to make this very clear as well. This is not directed toward talking about or generalizing all men.
No, it's just personally attacking a huge section of men in society that have an opinion that doesn't line up with yours because their mentalities and their ideas and their pursuit of personal freedom somehow is dangerous to you.
Because I know that all men are not like this. Because if all men were actually like this, there would be no society. The entire world would be at war. And I know it seems that way right now, but what I mean is like there would be war down by your local Walgreens. War would be literally everywhere if all men in the world thought this way.
Again, I vehemently disagree with you. There would be no war because none of these men would stand up for a society they don't believe in. And most of us don't believe in the current state of Western society from the inside looking out. However, and you and most of your viewers are not going to like this, you also would not see a large amount of privilege that females get from males presented in society anymore. No more paying or being used as an economic resource. No more protection from men. You would have to fend for yourselves. And men wouldn't put up with any double standards that women get away with in society today. Now, don't twist my words. I'm not saying they would take your hard-earned and fought-for rights away. I am saying that you no longer get privilege in society because of your sex. If the boat goes down or the plane crashes, we all go to the lifeboats and flotation devices together. You don't get a privilege because you're female.
Them both, and they're just good people. They're good to people, and they keep quiet. But I was thinking about this right before I started making this video. I think a lot of good guys also don't know. They don't know because why would they? Why would they be on the internet looking up this type of information or even anything closely related to it? So why would they even be on YouTube looking up that type of information if they're happy people? They're happy, well-adjusted, balanced people.
Excuse me, but this is the point where I'm going to be understandably a bit more annoyed with you because you keep talking about how Mgtow men are pretentious and entitled and self-absorbed, but you basically in that statement just said that you own the definition of what happy and well-adjusted means. That people need your opinion to match up for them to be qualified as happy or well-adjusted. This is certainly a pot or kettle moment. I'm sorry, may I have permission to exist? Huh. Wow. Just wow. But yet, Mgtow men are the real narcissist, right?
Gotcha, bitch. Gotcha, bitch.
So they're not going to be out there seeking this info. So I don't think they know. I don't think they hang out with guys like this. I think they probably have a natural disgust or a natural disinterest in men like this. So I do think good men just separate from these types of guys. And so they don't know. They don't know how deep it goes. They don't know how deep the pathology goes.
You don't believe that every single man that has gone Mgtow didn't start out ignorant about it? This is the first generation of men, primarily, out here now that have gone Mgtow. Every one of us were those same types of men that had no idea about this mindset. Because the Mgtow philosophy is very new comparatively to other philosophies out there. Most all of us started out with no idea about what Mgtow was. But we chased down this knowledge and came across it because we were wondering, what is it that's so wrong with us that we keep getting rejected by society? What is it that is so wrong with us that the female population looks down its nose at us? And so we began to search, and we found that other men have experienced the same things that we have experienced. And since so many of us have gone through the same or similar experiences and we relate to each other so well, we came to the conclusion that maybe it's not us. Maybe there's a problem in society. Maybe we need to make a movement of change, just like women did once upon a time. And look at who is pushing back on men finally standing up to problems in society that affect them. Those same people that claim to care so much about equality.
You'll hear in the very beginning of his video clip that he's very happy that this movement has grown over the past couple of years. That fills him with joy because he's so short-sighted. He cannot see how having a society full of men that think like this will ultimately come to his doorstep. Having a society full of men who think life is all about me and my pleasure, my way and my way only existing and living by their own rules. Well, what that means is,
yes, it must be terribly wrong of him to feel happy that he isn't trapped inside of his own mind by himself anymore, and he has other people that he can talk to about his concerns and his problems. And yes, it must be terribly short-sighted to think that you can do something to make social change, like feminism.
if one of their rules is they want something that you have, they're going to come take it because they live by their code, their rules, their life, their way. So eventually, they're not going to just hold this mindset to women only. They're not going to apply it to women only. They're going to start off with women because they're the easiest target. And then once they've mastered that with women, they're going to branch out and see where else their entitlement can take them.
I honestly don't know where you're drawing those conclusions from, unless it's this one person case study here. Mgtow is nothing more than self-sovereignty and rejecting societal standards that believe that men are here to provide and protect and to be sexual objects without complaint. It's about self-sovereignty and walking away from society, not attacking anyone.
Where else can entitlement take me in this life? And eventually it's going to take it right to your front door. That's what it's going to take you to because this is the way all criminals think also.
Oh, I see. This is going to be that same kind of logic that Hitler used to create his war machine, where you create non-existent propaganda to spread fear about something that there is nothing to fear about, and use it to manipulate, which is one of the female tactics that we do teach about in Mgtow, that females use in order to get their way about something that they don't like, much like how you don't like Mgtow.
My life, my way, my happiness, no one else's, no one else matters. I don't care what you think of my character. I don't care what you think of my integrity or me as a person. Only I matter, and so if only I matter, then I don't care what I do to you. And so that's why this is a problem. I would have no problem if these guys just said, I don't want to deal with relationships.
Well, in that case, you might be surprised to find and to hear me say this, but no, I don't care about what you think about my character, my integrity, my sovereignty, me pursuing my own happiness in whatever means that I judge as fit, except for the fact that I don't hurt people and I wish you no harm.
I don't want to be married. I don't want to be in any type of commitment like that. That's fine. All I'm saying is that you can't also then subsequently attempt to drag the rest of society down with you. Go live a monk lifestyle. A lot of monks live that lifestyle and they're very happy. They're very zen. Go live.
It seems you've twisted some words in Mgtow philosophy. Mgtows don't want to see society burn at their hands, They just don't care if society burns. Because the way they see it, society has turned its back on men. So, under that connotation, who wouldn't want to see society get what's coming to it, so to speak? Also, once more, nobody needs your approval on how they want to go about attaining their happiness goals. So stop being entitled and thinking that people need your permission to exist in a way that makes them happy. And let's face it, if there was ever a day without men, like there was a day without women, society actually would come to a screeching and utter halt on that day.
That lifestyle. But why do you want to corrupt impressionable minds? And why do you want to drag the rest of society down with you? That's what I don't understand. And that's what I have a problem with. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play his clip. Then I'm going to come back and break down some of these talking points from his video. And then my biggest request of you is that you share this with any young woman in your life, your daughter, your sisters, your aunts. And I said young woman, but I really meant any woman, period.
Oh, don't worry. I will, because they need to know how ridiculous you sound. Or at least a good example of how not to treat the other half of your human species.
But I guess I target youth because they're getting ready to go out into this world that this man is helping create.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. But isn't it wrong for us to quote unquote recruit other people into our ideologies? Maybe I'm paraphrasing, but that is the gist of what you said, isn't it? Hypocrite much?
Him and a whole lot of other guys that sit on YouTube all day and pump out content, 3 or 4 videos a day.
Oh, you got me, you sneaky you. How dare I make YouTube content that talks about societal issues?
About this type of stuff in the effort to recruit and corrupt men who might still be trying to decide who they are.
Now remember, if you're a young person listening to this, you absolutely must share my opinion because I'm here to corrupt you, apparently. You're obviously not smart enough to absorb information and then make your own life decisions. That's not how this works, right?
And then they pick up on this, they like it, there's a community there, they can high five and slap each other on the butt, and then now you have your daughters and your young girls attempting to enter into this world that they might not have a clue about. But it doesn't go for just young women either. This also applies to older women who have been through the ringer with these types of men and don't understand where it's coming from.
Actually, I have a personal friend of mine who is in her 60s and has 4 college degrees and understands exactly where this movement is coming from in her age. But you go ahead and speak for all women of that age because that's your right.
Why does he hate me so much? Why is he so mean to me? This is where it's coming from. It's rooted in these beliefs.
Because it couldn't be that you're just a giant asshole and have possibly done something to make them venomous towards you as a person. That, of course, would mean that you have to accept blame for your actions and be a human being.
So when I make these videos, I often talk about trying to get at the root of someone's belief.
Well, I certainly haven't seen that approach done here, but I guess we can try again on the next video, eh?
To look at what they write on social media, if they're very active on comment boards and things like that, you have got to see how they think. That is more important than anything else.
Okay, coaches. There are assholes on social media no matter what their belief system is, so you can try that one again with someone else.
You might have a checklist, you might not, but if you have a checklist, at the very top of that checklist needs to be, how does he think? What does he think about women? What does he think about family? What does he think about those things? Because what I've found about these types of men is they're not very good about lying about it on the spot. If they have some time to think about it, then they can craft up a pretty good answer that sounds pretty good to the ears, but still shouldn't really sit right in your soul.
So what you're saying is you have a lot of experience with lying.
But they're not very good about lying about it on the spot. They're very proud of this mentality. They like to brag about it. They like to put it out there any opportunity that they get.
Yes, because they should be ashamed that they found a mentality that makes them feel like they have found personal freedom.
They like to talk about it because they think it's great. They think they've discovered like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And really all they've discovered is a path to destruction. So I said I was going to play that clip about 2 minutes ago. Now I'll play it for real. I'll stop and I'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Block Ram 313 back at it again, because you know this is Therapeutic Man. Back again with another video and another therapy session. Thank you for joining me. The title of this video is what it means to go my own way. The MRA, Men's Rights Movement. Mgtow, if more, the red pill, has grown exponentially since I first started making videos almost 5 years ago. Back then, there was probably less than 50 channels with such content. Now there are literally thousands. Men are now waking up and refusing to bow down to the gynocracy that we have here in the Western world, which has spread its tentacles throughout the whole globe. But exactly what does it mean to go your own way? Now, of course, this is highly subjective.
Note this part here where he says this is highly subjective.
For going your way or going your own way is an individual and personal quest. For me, this means that I live my social life, at least, on my terms, and my terms alone. When it comes to the female, if I choose to deal with one at all, it will be, it has to be, it must be always from a position of strength and never weakness. My way only. How I want to deal, what I want to do. I never seek and work to make or keep her happy. Her happiness should be making me happy. That is the design. However, we know that these modern day thought bots have been reprogrammed by the culture. Regardless of that, I'm to the point where I don't need her validation whatsoever. I care not what she thinks of me. Her opinion of my personhood and character means absolutely nothing to me. The moment it does, I then cease to be able to call myself a man.
You see, even I have some problems with what he has said in this video, because in the end, he's allowing his insecurities of what a female's opinion of his position of strength is to dictate his manhood. So he has his own things that he has to work out. That doesn't necessarily mean that Mgtow philosophy supports in its core his specific belief system, because he already said his beliefs are extremely subjective.
And he continues on and on after that, going deeper into his philosophy. I'll link the video if you are interested in watching the whole thing.
Yes, please go watch her cherry-picked case study to make her point. No, please go find your own videos and research to do.
However, I personally couldn't stomach it. So let's go ahead and break down what's wrong with this, just those first couple of minutes. What's actually wrong with the way this man thinks, with the way that he's training other men to think. Let's really get into the problem here.
Oh yeah, let's take a 2-minute hand-picked video clip and really dig into the undercurrent of society dealing with male issues and problems on a 2-minute video clip case study. The fact that you would even insinuate that that is possible leads me to believe, and I'm not one to be overly insulting, but it leads me to believe that you are a flaming imbecile.
So it starts off with him going into his definition of going his own way means his way and his way only. You may have missed this part, but he goes, well, when it comes to my social life at least. So we've covered in many different videos on this channel how they are very selective in their treatment of their targets. So they are capable of good behavior.
Now, a less observant or astute person may have missed the fact that she just went from he to they statements. That is where permission to exist is implying that all men are like one man, which is silly.
And good treatment in certain environments like work, but when it comes to their relationships and their social situations and their family and personal lives, suddenly it's like they don't understand.
See, there it is some more. He just got translated to they.
Suddenly the switch goes off. Suddenly you're no longer making sense when they know how to act at work, basically. So I don't know if you caught that, but go back and listen if you missed it.
You see, what you're telling people to go back and catch is not actually there. Because not all people think the same way. But on top of that, people especially always actually think the same way at work as they do at home. Didn't you know?
So his way only. He said operating from a position of strength, never weakness. So what this tends to look like in these relationships is any and all words coming from the woman. If he listens to her talk, then that's weakness. That's considered a weakness.
Actually, he never went into any specifics about what that looked like at all. You're actually just twisting what he said to try to make your own point.
Listening to your woman, hearing your woman out is considered a weakness. And I just did a video called Words Don't Work with Narcissists. They don't, because in this particular case, it would be considered weak. And then there are other ways that they demonstrate this strength, like never honoring any of your preferences, like never honoring or even hearing out any of your opinions, not even being willing to have a discussion.
Yes, but being a Mgtow doesn't make you a narcissist. Being a narcissist doesn't make you a Mgtow. They're not mutually exclusive, even though sometimes the paths might intersect like they would with anyone. Remember, sleep, serial killers. Really.
Because you must understand that having a discussion with a woman is considered a sign of weakness to these types of men.
Oh, trust me, there are a few women in life I would love not to talk to, but that has nothing to do with me being a Mgtow and everything to do with them being shitty human beings. However, to be honest, everything you just said builds this incredible fallacy world of fantasy. Because explain to me how I'm going to get through day-to-day life dealing with the public and never speak to a woman. What am I just going to walk around and pretend that I'm mute?
So that's why you can't get the conversations going. That's why you can't get closure. That's why you're not respected. Because to respect you is to show weakness.
Or maybe you are just an asshole that no one wants to talk to. Take some blame.
In these men's mind. Let's keep going. He said he will never seek and never work to make or keep her happy. I just never seek and never work to make and keep her happy because her happiness should be making him happy.
And maybe it's just his personal choice that being an asshole makes him happy. Not saying it's right, but it's his choice.
So her joy in life is to please him and make him happy. I can't make this stuff up, y'all.
Yeah, actually, anybody can make anything up on the internet. That's part of the beauty of the internet. Paid actors, voice recording, it could be made up. Not saying it is.
Just hearing that, like, my God, how many of you have experienced that in some form or fashion and not deserving of it? And that, from a woman's standpoint, just switching gears really quick, to be a woman going through this
means that you're really bad at picking good dating material, but yet you're going to blame it on everyone else?
Is so confusing, because what these men fail to realize is that we actually think really highly of our men. We love our men. We adore our men. So when our man, who we love and adore,
doesn't do exactly what we think he should, we divorce him, as indicated by the high divorce rates initiated by women in the already high divorce to begin with, so that we can get his assets and use the children as leverage while manipulating our way through life, using him from there on out. Just so you know, that's the love song that Mgtow are protesting, because that's what men are hearing.
Turns around and refuses to do anything nice for us because that would be a sign of weakness.
Or it could be red pill rage ensuing for the aforementioned reasons, and possibly just being pissed off about continually getting kicked in the teeth emotionally by previous relationships.
That he refuses to seek or even try to make you happy in any way because that's a sign of weakness. And you're just sitting here thinking, what did I do to him? What did I do? You review it. What did I say? You might even have asked those questions before. What happened? What did I do to you? What is it something that I said? Is it something that I'm doing? It's none of those things.
Yes, because sane, empathetic people do ask those questions about their own actions when they feel they've angered others. If you don't, that kind of makes you the narcissist.
It's the fact that you're a woman. That's the problem. The problem is you're a female and he's sick. So in his sick mind, being nice to you is a sign of weakness. So he won't do it. He refuses. It has to be his way. The moment that he does something nice for you is the moment in his mind that he's lost. So in order for him to maintain that power position, he has to be unkind to you at all times because that's the only way he wins in his mind. Oh, let's keep going.
Do we really have to? Alright.
He moves on to say that he cares not what she thinks of him or his character or anything like that. Long time ago, I did a video called Narcissists Have a Cavalier Disregard for Their Own Reputation.
You know, I'm beginning to see why people have such an issue with you making leaps, trying to connect one thing to another that's not there, because you keep trying to connect narcissism and Mgtow when there is no connection there to be made. We've proven that over and over throughout this rebuttal.
So they do not care. They don't care about the legacy that they're living. They don't care about the world that they're creating.
And what is it with you going from he to they? You continually keep trying to assign the actions and words of one person to an entire group.
Because, and this came from another narcissist channel, he said basically that the world is in decline, which I can't necessarily argue with. But the problem with that belief is that in his mind, he basically does whatever he wants to do because why bother fixing it? Because it's already headed downhill anyway.
Oh, fuck. He doesn't have permission to exist on your terms? Well, fuck him.
So he helps make the problem worse by doing bad things in the world or doing whatever.
Or whatever, because you don't know what he's doing or if it's bad or not.
Without fear or regard of the consequences, because the world is already in shambles. And it's the most broken logic I've ever seen.
Except for a brief moment ago, you had a second where you agreed with it.
And these men want to be leaders. They want to be respected.
How terrible. Another human being wanting to be respected. How dare they?
Leaders would fix it. Leaders would find a way to fix it. They would rally together, and instead of helping destroy it, that's like your house catching fire, and instead of you running to grab water, you go and grab some gasoline and you just help burn it down.
You're obviously not good at history, so I'm going to go ahead and inform you that there were plenty of leaders throughout history that did terrible, terrible things and didn't fix anything, much like Hitler that we mentioned earlier.
You don't even try to rescue anything inside. You just say, oh, well, it's already burning, so let me help it burn down to the ground. That's what that's like. That's the kind of logic you guys are operating off of. And you know what else? What other logic you're operating off of? Broken logic? You're operating off the broken logic that you're not going to live very long. So I also think these men don't think they're going to live very long. And they probably won't if they keep this up.
1. You have presented no evidence to support the statement you just made. 2. What you just said was subjective into your own opinions of what their mindset might be. So in other words, you're putting words in their mouth, so unless you're a telepath, stop. And 3, doing both of those things makes you a bit of an asshole.
But you're making the assumption you won't live very long. What if you live well into your 90s, hun? Late 90s. That means you got to deal with this. You've got to deal with what you've made for a long time. You don't know how long you'll be here.
And every bit of that is both their prerogative and their concern.
You don't know what medical advancements might come along and extend life, or what we might discover about health and how to take care of our health and extend life. You might be here for a long time. And this is the world you want to create? A world where you don't know how long you're going to be in it?
It doesn't matter. What world a person tries to create is entirely up to them.
This is what I want you guys to think about. And then let's see here, he finishes up with, the moment he cares, he's no longer a man. So just pause for a moment and think about how many ways and in what kinds of ways that has shown up in your life. And to any men listening to this
kind of crap is not mutually exclusive to men or women. If you think this way regarding your partner, then you need to go and get some sort of help, and you should.
how many of you are divorced now? How many of you have lost good women because you thought this way?
Well, none of them, because Mgtow don't look at traditional marriage. It's just not something that works. The divorce rates have proven that, and frankly, women have proven that by being the people who go for divorces more than men. So, congratulations on making the Mgtow's point for them.
Here's my question to you. Is it working for you? Is this lifestyle, is this mentality actually getting you what you want?
Well, yes, it is. Next question.
Because the truth is, you really want women. You still want women. You always will. You will always want women. You're just mad that you can't have women on your terms. And the reason you can't have women on your terms is because your terms suck.
Well, you're still using this whole video to put a lot of words into people's mouths from one person, but, speaking on a more educated majority view of what's actually going on here, it also sucks to have your wallets ripped out through your assholes. Tends to make them a little sore, a little more protective of both those things. So your terms suck too.
They suck. If we had to work for you, like employer to employee, we would quit. If you are a boss or a manager or a supervisor or a leader,
yes, and yes, as a matter of fact.
how many of your employees have quit under you?
Yeah, very few, actually. I tend to treat my people very well.
What is your turnover rate?
2. I've had 2 people quit. There you go.
You have got to understand that this is not a male-female thing. This is just a how you treat people thing.
Yeah, back at you, coaches.
This is just a how you treat a human being thing. There are rules to it, just like there are laws of gravity, forces of nature, laws and rules of physics.
Laws and rules of not trying to suppose judgment on an entire group of people based on one. Laws and rules of not jumping to conclusions. Laws and rules of respecting other people's belief systems. Yeah.
There are laws and rules of how you treat people. People work in a certain way. They respond to certain things and they don't respond to other things.
You don't say.
Certain actions, which are fueled by beliefs, will always lead to certain consequences.
Yeah, you're preaching Mgtow back to me, actually.
Like your woman leaving you. Like, it's just mind-blowing to me that the comfort level these men have in feeling like they can treat another human being this way. It's mind-blowing to me.
I usually feel the same way about feminists.
Because you got to know that this doesn't work. You've got to know that this isn't healthy. The healthy version of what you guys are trying to accomplish would basically just be a guy who focuses on his life. He has his own place. He lives alone. He probably travels the world. Maybe he opens a business or 2 or 3. He runs them. He takes great pleasure and enjoyment in running his businesses. He doesn't date. He actively, purposely does not date because he rejects the ideologies of what he believes are the Western civilization and culture. So for that reason, he chooses not to date. So he doesn't entertain the company of any woman. He's celibate. He's abstinent. He focuses all his energy and all his chi on something else. And he creates. Maybe he's an artist. Maybe he makes things. He's just a self-actualized person who chooses to live a solitary lifestyle that does not harm others.
You mean like a business owner that gets on YouTube and creates art in the form of visual and audio media to spread awareness about something that they feel strongly about while choosing to travel when they want to and live life on their own terms? You mean something along those lines?
I don't understand where the harming others comes in. Part of the problem is you guys don't see it as harming others. You don't see it as a problem.
Because in the context of Mgtow philosophy, we're not harming anyone.
So you do it, but the question that I always have to bring up is, what if this was your mom? What if a guy like you was trying to date your mom and he decided that your mom was perfect for the next 3 months of his life?
Because she's not a grown woman allowed to make her own choices and mistakes therein.
And he was going to do whatever it took to keep your mom in his life for the next 3 months. But as soon as she was like, well, I'm kind of older and, I'd really like to be married again, he just discards her like trash because that's not where he is in his life. He's going his own way.
Then she needs to start screening the people she dates more and stop making poor dating choices.
But for those 3 months, she was a lot of fun. What would you do to that guy? What happens when your daughter reaches dating age and some young guy has been listening to your videos and decides that your daughter's the perfect target for the next 6 months of his life and that he's just going to use her, he's going to string her along, and he's going to do whatever it takes to keep her in his life for the time frame that he desires to have her there. And then as soon as he's done with her, he's going to discard her and get rid of her and just move on to the next one or take a break or whatever.
I'll be sure to teach my daughter not to be a giant asshole to guys that are nice to her so that she doesn't continue the trend of being a dick that creates this kind of social norm.
Like, y'all cannot approach life like this. It's not working, guys. Look at our society. It's not working. Whoever this man is, you have a platform, and this is what you choose to do with your platform.
Yes, that's what he chooses to do with his platform.
You choose to use it to corrupt and poison society.
Still your subjective opinion.
Poison it. You choose to use this platform to make the world worse for your own people and for everybody else. It makes no sense. And like I stated earlier in the video, you guys have a tough time isolating things. So you're going to spread this mentality out across your whole life. And some of the people that you're reaching are more corruptible or more susceptible to corruption than others.
That's projection, because the person with the biggest problem here isolating anything is you, because you can't seem to isolate anything else from your own self-projected problem with narcissism. Just my 2 cents.
And they're going to hear it and they're going to take it to the extreme. And eventually, because we're all stuck on the same planet, that extreme is going to reach your doorstep. It is. Look at the schools. Look at the state of the schools. Look at the way the children act in school. It's been getting progressively worse over the years.
Oh, I suppose all school shooters are now Mgtow as well, since we can't isolate.
Look at how they treat their parents. Look at how their parents treat them. Look at the state of our society. And this is what you want to do? You want to actually make it worse? I just can't process it. I really can't. So I'll stop there.
Thank God she shut up. Whew. Permission to exist. You have a real underlying issue, I think, with your own isolation between 2 different subjects. You really need to understand how correlation of fact data works. When you do that, go ahead and try to re-examine this stuff. But until you learn how to do real research, spare us. Thank you. And until next time, this has been The Mentalist.
Gotcha, bitch. Gotcha, bitch.